Welcome to the Socket podcast. Today I am rejoined. Patti, you not only were my first guest on my podcast, but you are my first returning guest. So I'm super excited.
Because nobody else is saying yes to returning. Is that what that means?
No, I haven't.
Now I'm frightened.
No. I'm like, you know what, Patti? I'm like, you're
Okay.
funny. I want you to come back on. I just ran upstairs to get something for my show and tell part of the podcast programming today.
I'm super nervous about that
Oh my
part.
gosh, I'm such a nerd and such a dork. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And Jason's upstairs. I'm like, I'm already laughing and we just got on the call. So um, anyway, I introduced Patti Minglin, my very good friend. She's the owner of Go Girl Communications, and she helps me write content for my newsletter for Socket, as well as for the branch. And we've been working together for a couple of years now. And we also sometimes kind of tag team advertising for the branch and your content creation for other businesses, where we can work together collectively to help a local business that might be mom focused, especially when we're talking about the branch. And that's been super, super fun
Yeah, I love that.
to continue our working together. I actually just got off a Zoom call taping a podcast with Lindsay Chan, and who was a photographer, if you didn't listen to that one, but she was just saying how she took your pictures with Jack. And she said, it was just a short, session. And she said, I didn't want to leave because Patty's so fun to hang out with. So,
my son will love to hear that. Like that will make his day, because it was he was super excited. Nothing is better than being a 17-year-old boy and doing your senior photo shoot.
Right. Well, it was funny because Lindsay, when I did it with my boys, they're both on either side of me. And Lindsay goes, okay, well, normally kids are younger when I ask this, but I don't know. I don't really know what you boys are up for. Like, what do you think about you both giving your mom a kiss on each side of her cheek? And they both went, man. No, I'm like, we don't have to do that. It's okay. Let's try.
It's so funny.
Thank you for trying. But, I'm just
Right.
happy that they're here. They're smiling. They're not on their phones. Right.
I know that is like the best part. Even that brief time. I mean, again, we did a really quick photo shoot because Jack was just, great. But it was so nice to just be like, have that moment, that one-on-one time without any distractions. I should have had him because it was really folly when we did, like the leaves were just all on the ground. I should have had him do that big kid one where they throw the leaves. That would have been good. Darn. Next time, Lindsay, if you're listening, we got that for the next.
Right. But someone posted their kids like in a pile of leaves. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have not been in a pile of leaves since I was like 8 years old. Right. I think it would be super funny. We should tell Lindsay like next year, you know how they do those, like the birth announcements for a 40-year-old, right? Like likes to drink wine at night, prefers, whatever. And they pose like they're snuggling like a newborn baby, and then all the different things about them are around, and it's kind of pretending that it's a baby announcement or something. And we should do like adult fall pile pictures. That'd be super fun.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna do that. We're gonna sign up for one of her fall mini sessions, and she'll be like, "What? It's just us, no kids.
Just me and Patti
at the apple picking place, rolling in leaves. All the fun stuff."
When Jason and I went to Wisconsin, we just went for a very quick little 2-day getaway, and we drove home and we stopped at Apple Land to get a bunch of apples, and then we stopped at the Mars Cheese Castle.
My favorite place in the world.
I know. Well, you were the reason why we went. I actually was like, I wasn't driving, but I was taking pictures as we were driving. Like,
right,
you're approaching.
I loved it. Like, it's the cheese castle.
And I had a liverwurst sandwich, which I just
okay. Can we just stop there for a moment? You went to a place called the Cheese Castle, and you ordered liverwurst.
We got cheese curds too, just there. Oh my gosh, it was like it was like kids in a candy store. Now there is a whole candy section. I'm not a big candy person, but you're walking around all these cheese things and spreads and, walnuts that
Love
you
it.
put like in a charcuterie platter,
Yes.
which we call a charcuterie platter. Apparently there was some meme went around a while ago. I don't know where it actually started. So Jason's like, "Are you going to make a charcuterie?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm going to make a
I
shark."
am now calling it that. I
It
can't
really is.
wait.
It's a good shift because charcuterie, it's a little hard to say. So I think we make it something more fun, like charcuterie. But yeah, we didn't realize they had like a little restaurant. The bar was closed.
Yes.
That would have been nice to sit at the bar and have a beer, but whatever. And I'm like, they have liverwurst. So we had liverwurst and it was so yummy.
Did
I
you
don't
bring
know.
some home? Did you bring some home?
Oh yeah. We already went through that. But then Jason was like, we don't have any liverwurst left. And we had been, if we wanted to get liverwurst, we just went to like Jewel and got the Oscar Mayer liverwurst, right? Which
Didn't
is,
know that even
I
existed.
mean, it's good, but it's not as good as what we got at the Mars Cheese Castle.
Right.
So he found a place in Aurora called Worst Kitchen. I posted about it the other day.
I saw that.
Now, I did not go, but it looks like this little house. And when I posted about it, people were like, we've been going there for 40 years. Like, it's amazing. And so he got some liverwurst, he got some Thuringer sausage, he got something called, oh, what is it called? Something in ale, steak and ale sausage. I think Dan would like it.
I think you would too.
Yeah.
I don't like sausage.
We had the Thuringer sausage and with mustard, and it is not a go-to thing. Like I don't crave sausage. Like in the summer, I don't want brats.
Oh, me either.
I don't like hot dogs, so I will eat
No.
it every once in a while, but I'll tell you, it was really good. Now I only had one,
Yeah.
it's like I don't it's not something I could eat on a regular basis.
I do love that you guys now will have liverwurst. Like that's now a regular part of your kitchen.
I know, I came upstairs, I'm like, I gotta eat in between these podcasts. I'm starving. And I'm like, all right, going in for the liverwurst. It's so
But
good.
what do you eat it? I don't even know how you eat liverwurst.
So
On
it
a
comes in like
cracker?
a casing, like a sausage casing, and you can put it on cracker. I slice it and then I just toast up white bread, because that's the healthiest kind of bread. And I put on stone
Yes.
brown mustard on one side, and then I slice about 4 or 5 of the liverwurst things, and they're about like the size of a $half, as
Oh,
far as
okay.
the width of the liverwurst, and then I just put them on, and then I smush it down and cut it in half. Um,
I
but
kept thinking it was a spread of some, I don't know why. I've never had liverwurst. When you
it
posted
kind
that
of
on
is.
Facebook, I couldn't get over how many people like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of my childhood. Like I
Yeah.
feel like all these people in the world were eating liverwurst. And Nancy Smith, my mother, if you're listening, where was our liverwurst? I clearly did not.
Like there's an underground
There's
liverwurst
an underground
community.
liverwurst world I didn't even know about. Somehow I suddenly felt cheated out of some part of my childhood.
Oh, well, what's funny? My gosh, for those of you listening, we're not going to talk about liverwurst much longer, but the last
This
point,
is actually a glimpse into how this is our regular day-to-day life.
I was talking to another friend about liverwurst, and I can't remember, it might even have been you, but I'm not sure. And I was like, well, I did some research, and liverwurst is the only complete protein because it has organ meat in it. And the person I'm talking to was like, that is not helping liverwurst case for me. Don't talk
Oh
about
my
organ meat. Right?
gosh. Yeah, as a marketer, don't use that as your tagline, liverwurst.
But you could, it's
You
one of
could
the
use the
only
protein part.
complete proteins that it has all
Yes.
9, God, I'm going to screw this up, 9 amino acids, I think, or something like that. And that you can't find
Wow.
in just chicken or steak or things like that. So when I'm eating this delicious pate-ish like sandwich, I think
Super healthy.
I'm getting all 9. Well, you're getting a hell of a lot of fat in there too, but I ignore
Let's,
that.
yeah, let's just stick with the protein part.
Yeah, right. No, and fat's not bad for you. I don't know if this type of fat is bad for you. It's not an avocado. Avocados, I think if you can live off avocados,
I do love an avocado.
right? They're really awesome, especially in their
We could spend an entire show talking about the avocado toast we had at City Gate Grill.
God.
It was so amazing.
I've had 4 other avocado toasts since that time. They weren't the same.
It was a really, really good.
It
I don't
was
know
the
how to
crunch
explain
part
that.
on it. They had like something with
Yes.
pea tendrils, TP tendrils.
I don't
Liverwurst
remember
and
what
pea
it was.
tendrils. That's what this is all about.
There was a texture to, there was a crunchy something like,
Mhm.
I want to say it was like a pumpkin seed.
Yeah, they had pumpkin seeds and like little black, uh, not chia seeds, but something else.
No, something
Oh, so
else.
little sesame seeds. I don't know something.
I don't know.
Anyway,
It was
City Gate
delicious.
Grill. Or it was not City Gate Grill. It was Zorba's. It's
Oh,
with
Zorba's. Yes. Oh, we had dinner at City Gate Grill.
yeah,
Zorba's was the next morning.
right.
Got it.
So, Patty and I taped our podcast. Oh my goodness, it was like over 6 months ago. And we were right in the beginning of quarantine. It'll be interesting after we tape this to go back and actually listen to that and see what life was like. But we find ourselves now 6 months later still taping on Zoom. I built out this beautiful little studio in my basement to have guests come to my podcast. And I would be comfortable at this point, I think, having one person come over, but I haven't figured out my camera and all that complicated machinery, and Zoom makes it so easy to just click a button and then it all converts all for me. So the next
Yeah.
phase of my growth and learning technology for Socket is to figure out my expensive camera that I bought for it. But anyway, so Patty and I talked about one of the main parts of Socket, which is identifying things in our lives that we want to toss, things that we want to recycle or change in some ways, and things that we want to elevate. So I thought it would be fun for us to kind of do an update of our toss, recycle, elevate today, 6 months later. It doesn't have to be COVID related, just, it has even going through this time, have you learned anything, or can you plug into anything that being at home more, and I know for me that's part of the things that I'll share, including our show and tell part.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I do not know what that entails. I don't have any props with me, so
I have props for
I,
both
I'm
of us.
sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, next time you'll bring props.
Oh yeah.
So can you give a little update, like how has your last 6 months been? Are you good? Are you stressed? Are you both? What are you?
Well, first of all, when you said 6 months and you put like a number to how long we've been battling this, that was like, oh my gosh, what? Like half a year. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I think I'm kind of into a routine with stuff. As we head into the cold and flu season, I think, oh, here we go again. Now we're going to be, back in our homes. But I think for me, it wasn't so much the pandemic coupled with the election season.
Yeah.
I felt, I don't know what happened, but like that whole month I felt of October just was probably the worst month of the entire pandemic for me.
Mm,
And I think it had to do with those two things kind of colliding at the same time. And it was just, and both of those things were completely out of my control. And I don't like
it was the
that.
worst.
Yeah.
You
It was so hard. And I tried things, like that's one thing I think I've tried to do during this whole pandemic is you learn tools, things you can use, like, meditation, and people have great things, just our friend Grace, she's always like working out on her Zoom and she's got all fun stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be like Grace in my basement I'm never going to be like Grace. But, I've tried to like pull in those things, but for some reason in October, all those things I was learning of how to kind of deal with things you can't control
Yeah.
went right out the window.
Yeah.
And I don't, it was just so hard and heavy. And I felt like everything was spinning so fast and
Yeah.
I couldn't even like taking myself out of the news cycle, saying, I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to listen for both for the pandemic and the election. I'm just out. It still just was super high. I think I'm just now coming off of it as we've into November.
I remember, people posting right around that time saying, what are you stress eating? And the answers varied from candy products, ice cream products to I'm stress eating wine, my fingernails, all of that stuff. And yeah, the tension level was just
Oh my gosh.
Kind of like, I have to put it in a chiropractic term. So if you have pressure on the central nervous system, if you have your upper cervicals or your cranial area out of alignment, it almost creates like a visual of a little mini vice grip on your central nervous system
Mm,
from the start of it, because then it has to go down your spine and then branch out into your extremities. So if you have pressure up there, it can affect everything. Pressure in your neck can affect numbness in your big toe. I mean, it's
wow.
crazy how it's all connected. But if you have pressure there and then you hurt your shoulder, you're more likely to have some radicular or some numbness or some
Oh,
tingling, because you already have pressure at the central part. And now it's called distally. Anytime you get away from the center of your body, distally, you have more pressure. And now that nerve already has some compromise from the central part. And now, as you go down the arm, it has more pressure. So you have more, it's more likely to have it. So I felt the same way with this year. I feel as if the quarantine and COVID and that overlying pressure is just there.
mm-hmm.
And, it was worse in the beginning when my business was closed and I'm dealing with trying to pay my staff and finances and all that stuff. And maybe it's let off a little bit, but we're going to come into probably, as cases are going up and trying to discern what does that mean and what is the
Right,
danger and it's so complicated. I'm so glad I'm not in charge of it.
right.
God bless you for trying to be in charge of it, because 50% of the people are going to hate what you're doing.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and there's just no winning, right?
Gosh, I know.
There's just no
There's
winning.
no good answer.
No. So I feel like that central, right? That right that upper cervical area, that's the COVID. And then all the other issues that have happened this year just add to that
Yep.
pressure. And it's a lot. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. We've had a couple deaths in the family this year. I put my cat down. We've had a couple other losses, a couple other things go on. And my sister lives in Estes Park, Colorado. They were just
Mm,
evacuated for the worst forest fire in Colorado's history. That was in her, almost in her town and in the Rocky Mountain National Park, which is right where her town is. And she has a friend that people are sick. I'm like, boom, 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 boom.
right.
And
Like it does. It's like that is it. That whole boom boom and that analogy you had, that chiropractic analogy was perfect. Like we already were having this pressure, so everything else just kind of it just builds and builds and builds. And it's like, oh, I don't know. Like I feel like I could have handled each of these things individually.
right, right. Exactly. If you take that main pressure off and you just have that one thing like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
you
I
know,
could do this, like virtual learning. And I'm super fortunate. I only have one kid left at home and he's a senior in high school, but
yeah.
he's a senior in high school. So, the joke
I
is
love you,
always,
Jack.
yeah, love you. Um, somebody had a great meme and it was, I can't remember the talk show. It's the guy that does the talk show where they're always like trying to find out whose baby is whose. And they say,
Maury
like,
Povich.
yes, that's it. And he'll be like, so you said so-and-so is the father, but the test show. And somebody had a meme that said, you said you turned in all your virtual learning assignments, but the email from your teacher says you didn't. That is a lie.
I remember one time, it was like 2 years ago, I was home randomly in the day. Now I'm home a lot more, but and I don't ever watch daytime TV. I just don't, it's just not my thing. I'm a nighttime TV person, and it scares me the amount of hours my ass sits on my couch watching TV and Netflix at the end of the day. So we're just not going to count that up. Like after we're done, we're going to
Yeah.
watch The Mandalorian first season, and we're just going to watch the whole thing this afternoon. That's what we've decided. That's super healthy for us. Maybe we'll go on a walk first. Maybe I'll make Jason go on a walk first. Anyway,
You can eat your liverwurst. It has all those proteins in it.
it does, right? I'm fueled. I'm
You're
really
good.
fueled. So Maury Povich is on. I'm like, Maury Povich is still on? Like, wasn't it when we were growing up, like in my teen
Yeah.
years, it was on?
Yeah.
And
That's a long
of
time
course,
ago.
it's like the 2,754th show of Who is the Daddy, right? Because I feel like that's the only show I've ever seen on Maury
Right.
Povich.
I don't even know what else it does.
Right. And there's this woman, and they're going back and forth between these two men, or at least this one guy they're trying to prove is the father. And there's a little tickler at the bottom of the, or whatever tracker, whatever you call, and it says, if so and so isn't the dad, do you think that this woman should continue her search? And my first thought was, how many options are there? Like, I mean, kind of
It's
how
gotten
pregnant
a
you are,
little right.
right? Let's say you find out you're 8 weeks pregnant, you go back 2 months, right? I get maybe you're in between relationships, maybe whatever your deal is. But is there a long list? I don't know.
No, I've always thought that too.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not
I have.
her. I
I
try not
know.
to
I'm
judge.
not judging her,
No,
right? I'm
we're
sure
not
she's
judging.
fine.
Not judging.
No, but I am judging my son for not turning in his virtual learning assignments. That I am judging. I'm
Oh
judging
my
it,
goodness.
judging it. So, and again, I have a senior, and so I don't know how, parents. My assistant is our friend Erica from the show, from the Moms Network. She
Yep.
has 2 little ones at home,
Oh, I know.
and one's a
Lindsay too.
kindergartner. Oh my gosh, like they're right. They have to be right there. There's no, um,
You talk
it.
about that central pressure. I mean,
Oh
that
my
would jack
god,
my central pressure up so much. Like I
I
don't,
don't know.
that makes me have to like yoga
I
breathe
know.
just to think about it, you
Yeah,
know?
it's
I,
very overwhelming to me.
I remember coming upstairs from doing some sort of work, and one of our kids was causing some sort of stress. I don't know what it was or who it was, but I remember we got done with the conversation and I looked at Jason. I was like, oh my God, how would we handle this if they were little? Like, we wouldn't.
Yeah, no,
We just
there's
wouldn't.
no way. I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't know where they get that for sure.
So let's get into our toss, recycle, elevate. And like I said, we did this on the first episode. So if you haven't listened to that or watched it, you can go back and find that on simplysocket.com. And you can tap into our YouTube channel, excuse me, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. So to start off with, because it always makes sense to kind of go in the same order, what's something that you feel like you need to work towards tossing or you have tossed already
Hmm.
recently?
I think I said this exact same thing during the first time. I'm a horrible tosser. And I've discovered since that podcast, I've discovered about myself during this pandemic, I'm a chronic recycler. Like I want to just keep recycling. Like I don't want to toss it. Let me just try to fix it or tweak it or make it work a different way. So I'm a horrible tosser, but I have most recently, I am trying super hard to toss apologizing for my decisions if they're
Mhm.
not somebody else's decisions, or just apologizing in general. I was on a call yesterday where they were talking about things that women do as women leaders. And they were talking about if you go back through and you look at your emails and how many times you say, I'm sorry. Um, just, and for things that aren't even your fault. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry that my internet was down. Like, just, I don't know why we do that. And in this particular time frame, I feel like I apologize more. I don't know if I'm feeling sorry because I think everybody's going through everything. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry. The world's so hard. I mean, I feel like I should just start all my emails like that. I'm so sorry. The world is so hard for you. Anyway, this is your deadline. Um, but in particular, my daughter was getting married the first weekend of December, and we just had to make the very hard decision last week to postpone the wedding
Oh,
because of COVID. And again, we can't control it. It's nobody's
yep.
fault. It's nobody's thing. But there have been, since we've made, and everyone's good with the decision. We feel good about it. We feel like that was the right thing to do.
Yep.
My daughter feels good. Her fiance we feel like this was the best interest. They're still going to get married in December with just a private ceremony with just our immediate family. So 10 people.
Yep.
For those of you in any states that are trying to keep track of if I'm breaking any rules, there's only gonna be 10 of us. And I don't know. I just felt like after that, I had some people who I'm sure meant well, but it was like I had to apologize to them for the decision we made,
Yeah.
even though it was the right decision for us. And there was something about in the course of those conversations where I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why am I still apologizing for decisions I'm making that feel good for me? I feel good about it. My daughter feels good about it. It's her wedding, so she
Yep.
feels good. Why am I apologizing? Because I don't think like you think, or I didn't do what you would have done. I don't know why I do that. So I'm really trying to toss that whole thing out. Like, not sorry. I just did this today with an email. I started to say, I'm sorry, I didn't get somebody's email. Like, I don't know where it is. It's lost somewhere in the world, which happens. Technology is technology.
Hmm.
And they weren't even like blaming me. They just said, "Did you get my email?" And I
Yeah.
immediately went into, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it did this, or maybe wait, wait, wait."
All of a sudden, you're 2 paragraphs in to where
Yeah.
this email could have gone, you know?
And they don't care. They're like, so then I like deleted all these lines and finally just said, "You know what? I didn't get your email. Could you resend it?" And
Yep.
you know what they did? They resent the email. And they said, "Technology is crazy." And that was it. And
Yeah.
then we went about our days.
Yeah. Right. You think about there's so many other ways to say than saying I'm sorry. I certainly I'm actually hiring a woman named Caitlin who has worked in my practice for about 5 years. She's graduating college, and so I'm hiring her full time, partially to continue to work in the practice, part for helping me with some parts of the branch, and then part for helping me with Socket, because I realized that I get so many inquiries, especially right now for the branch moms community, that or people want to partner or they want to tell me about a program they have that they think would be good for the moms. And I probably have 75 of those in my inbox right now.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they're not, they're people I don't know. They're people I want to get back to. I don't want to just ignore people. But
Right.
at some point at the end of the day, I don't have enough time to do things like that that can take up a lot of my time when at the end of the day, someone might not be a good fit for the branch or someone we might really want to add, I can pass them along to you. I've done that a couple of times like,
Mhm.
hey, someone's doing this awesome thing. Let's add this in our newsletter. Well, for some people, it really is a business. They're looking for advertising and I need to weed out, do you have a budget for advertising or are you hoping for a free promotion? And those conversations take up a lot of time back and forth. So Caitlin will be helping me with some of that where I can just shoot those emails over or even like a basic inquiry for any part of the branch and she'll have some basic information to share and then start that conversation and then if something needs to come to me, I know it's an assistant. Like I've
Right.
never had that for my emails because I get behind in my emails sometimes and
Oh,
then I'm
easy to
always
do.
saying I'm so sorry, but I shifted it and I think I've told you this. I shifted it to thank you for your patience in my return email
Ooh, that's a good one.
because
That's a
it's
really good phrase.
instead of it being I'm sorry, right, which elicits a negative,
Yeah.
like it's thank you for your patience. You've been
Right.
patient. I just feel like it's a better. So that's something you might be able to use.
Yeah, no, that's true. And it's and like things like that, like if I am delayed in getting back to somebody or something, then I totally understand. Like then I feel like, okay, I'm sorry. I get where I'm
Yeah.
getting that.
Yep.
I'm amazed at the things I say I'm sorry for that have nothing. I don't even know why I'm saying I'm sorry. Like I have no idea why I'm sorry about it at all. And you're not asking me. Most of the time, people aren't asking me to be. I actually had a client, which was so great. It was just a short term client, and she was an older woman. And I was 3 minutes late calling her. Like we were supposed to like meet like at 11. And my 10:30 ran over a couple minutes. So by the time I called her, it was like 11:03.
Yeah.
And I immediately said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I'm late calling you." And she goes, "Don't ever apologize for that." She goes,
Right.
"You're 3 minutes." She
You're
goes, "First of all, you're
3 minutes.
not really late."
Right.
And she said, "Second of all, why are you apologizing? Just say, 'Oh, I got hung up on another call.' Anyway, let's just get into it." She goes,
Yeah.
"Stop apologizing." And I thought, you're right. Like,
And
there,
that's why we need to learn from older women. You know what I
yes.
mean? I mean, you and I are basically the same age, although you are older, just so
God,
everyone
I love
knows.
that you just said that. I'm glad it's on recording too.
But I think
Yeah.
of my mentors, right? They're,
Yeah.
10 years older. And I think of how much wisdom I learned from them. And that's what I want to do with all of this with Socket. It's like, hey, there's 20, 30-year olds, young 40-year olds that, man, if we can share what we're going through and how we're processing our own emotions right now, and some of
Yeah.
these toss, recycle, elevates type of things, then we can help them not have to wait till their mid to upper 40s to, you
Stop
know,
saying I'm sorry in an email for it's
yeah,
raining out.
right. I mean, I know I've shared this somewhere, but I was walking down the sidewalk and a woman was coming at me. We literally just passed on the side. There's plenty of room for two people on a sidewalk. This is prior to COVID. And she said, "I'm sorry." She literally looked at me. She's like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, I said, what came out of me is, "It's okay." And then as I'm walking, I wanted to turn around and shout, be like, "What are you sorry for? Being a human being, taking up space,
Walking on the sidewalk?
walking on the sidewalk? I'm walking
Yes.
on the sidewalk too. Like, why are you apologizing to me?" So anyway.
Somebody said that on the thing yesterday with the women leaders. They said that they somebody ran into them, like just accidentally,
Yeah.
in a crowded situation, ran into them, and they were the ones that said that I'm sorry. Like somebody else ran into me. Why am I saying I'm sorry to you?
Right. Now, if you actually physically run into someone, an "I'm sorry" is
Right.
totally appropriate, right? There
But
are,
if somebody runs into you,
right?
you really have to say that.
Oh my goodness. Well, my toss is and I've been talking a lot about taking pictures. That's what I was just taping with Lindsay, and
Yes.
wrote this poem and everything about taking, making sure, called Take the Photo, making sure you're in the photos as a woman, because so many of us kind of dodge that because we don't like how we look. And kind of this whole year, I'm trying to shift my thought process on my body. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to love my body before it is in the state, in my air quotes, in the state that I want it to be in. And all that means is
Mm,
weight. That's all it means to me.
yeah.
Um, even if I lost 50 pounds, my body would not look like a rock star. So there'd be skin issues and hanging things. And I don't know how pretty it would be. But I'm trying to learn from people that I've listened to on podcasts that have said that the start to me taking better care of my health was truly learning to love my body. And so I wrote that poem, Fun Body, which I reference on another one. You can find that on my blogs on my website. But it was like an epiphany I had of, I'm going to stop hating you. Like, I'm going to stop looking in the mirror after I get out of the
Mhm.
shower and I'm all naked. Excuse me. And start to love my body. And so my stomach, I'm trying to stop hating my stomach
Mm.
because it has taken most of the arrows of my thought process. I just send them right into my stomach saying how awful it is. And I'm trying to think about what that stomach represents. I mean, some of it is really yummy food I ate. Some of it is my two babies that
Right.
home there, right?
Right.
Not all of my imperfect stomach comes from being overweight. Some of it just from being a mom. And you certainly see people who are thin that have tons of stretch marks, or, they're super skinny, but they have a little extra weight there. And excuse me. And so I'm trying to give it a little more grace. I'm trying to not be so mean to my own, a part of my body.
Right. It's really hard. Like you have talked about that a lot lately. And it was funny because when I did the photo shoot with Lindsay, I thought of everything you've been saying, about getting in, because Lindsay's like, just get in for a quick shot with him. And I was like, oh, I don't know, kind of thing. But I thought of all that, of how many times, like the only thing stopping me, my son was fine with me being in the photo.
Yep.
Lindsay was fine with me being in the photo. The only thing stopping me was me.
Yeah.
And it was only because, like, I don't want to look at myself. Like when she sends those pictures back, I don't want to look at myself. But the pictures came back, and you had the same thing when you saw the pictures of you and your boys. There's this one picture she took, it's kind of more like a candid, but we're both laughing.
Yeah.
So perfectly represents my relationship with Jack.
Yeah.
Like and I just right now, because things are so tense and everybody's on edge, and he's spending a senior year virtual learning, um we don't have a lot of fun joyful times all the time. The days
Yeah.
are stressful, and we say things to each other that are not very nice sometimes. And so to have like this photo that represents what we really mean to each other, like
Yeah.
at the end of a bad day, at
Yep.
the end, this is what we really are. This is at the core of who we are. And what if I didn't have that?
I
Like, what if
know.
I didn't have that picture that represented that relationship so perfectly?
I know. I feel the same way. That's what Lindsay and I just talked about. It was such a great conversation and such an important topic. And not trying to beat a dead horse here, but it's so important. And some of that is giving ourselves grace. Looking
Very
at
much so.
someone's going to post a picture of you on Facebook where you know, maybe you didn't approve that picture, and you're going to see yourself from a weird angle, and you're going to be like, oh my God,
Right.
please
I
come. And then you do the comparison of, all right, well, that's Sally. This is no specific Sally. If your name is Sally and I know you, I'm not referring to you. That's Sally. And Sally looks like what I see of her. So that must mean that I look like that.
yeah. That just happened recently. We were at a chamber thing and there's a picture of me. Was drinking a glass of champagne, but the shirt I had on and just the angle, I go, oh my gosh, I look like I'm pregnant and I'm drinking champagne. Now everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, why is that pregnant woman drink? But like, and that the thing is that's immediately what I went to in that picture. There was a lot of other stuff happening and it was a fun event and it was
Yeah.
great to see people. And I was with people that I adore. And so like, why did I immediately go to that and erase all the other things that were wonderful about the moment?
Well, and that was one of the things we talked about is that our value is not what we look like, right?
Right.
Our value is who we are as human beings and what we offer to the world and the friendships that we have and the partnerships that we have in life and the roles that we play in other people's lives and in our lives ourselves and the talents and gifts we have. I mean, that's what's most
So
important.
true. Yeah.
It's not our stomach. So,
No.
dear stomach, I'm trying to love you. It's a hard journey, but I'm trying.
I feel like you have this real relationship, like you're hard to live with,
You're hard to live with.
but I'm
Right.
going
But
to give you
I'm
grace. But I think we should all, that's a great thing to toss, especially as we come out of the pandemic when we've all been like, like bears hibernating, eating all of the
right.
food. Somebody said that at Halloween time, about wearing masks and eating candy. That's all I've been doing since March. So
Right.
I
Exactly.
feel like I'm just fitting right in. But I think that's a great thing to toss.
All right. So let's shift to recycle. And I know you said you're a chronic recycler.
Chronic
So
recycler.
just pick one. Don't
I
you
know. I will.
share
I
all
will
of it.
recycle them all. I'm recycling. I'm sorry to something. I'm sure I'll figure it out. The biggest thing I'm recycling right now is the vision of my business. Actually,
Mm,
I think I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I don't know if I said that before, but I didn't plan to be an entrepreneur. I loved working. I always say my last real job, but my last real job when I worked at like Chicago Parent Magazine, I loved being there. I loved
yeah.
everything about it. So I wasn't one to go searching for my own business. It just kind of happened. And somewhere down the line, I got this idea in my head that what you have in your vision at the beginning of starting a business, you should just keep that.
Mm,
Like just keep that, and if it doesn't feel right, just keep going anyway because that's what you said. You said this is what you were going to do. And then you start to realize, and I think, and for me, it hasn't been as probably as pivotal as I think some businesses during a pandemic that have had to really pivot and rethink. I just have had to rethink of what my business looks like and really start to think, what is it that I've thought of a couple of things. What is it that I'm really good at doing? That if I spend my time doing that, that's how the business will grow.
hmm
And anything that doesn't fall in that circle, I should probably figure out other ways to get it done. Hire somebody to get it done. Stop doing it if it doesn't add to the value.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, what is it that I really enjoy doing? As I in my 50s and I start thinking I'm not going to be doing this forever, I hope. I said that about the pandemic back in April, but whatever. Um, I just want to do what I really enjoy doing and work with people I really enjoy working with. And that means maybe having to just kind of rethink things a little and have a little bit more fun with my business. And Erica has been a big part of that, bringing Erica Lopez on board and having her come in with fresh eyes and
Yep.
not knowing anything kind of has allowed me to let go a little bit of what I thought and say, well, what could it be?
Yeah.
And what could we make it? And what parts do we keep and what parts do we just kind of change a little? And at first that frightened me. But
Change is
now
not easy.
it's not easy, but it can be really fun if you let yourself. I had a friend the other day that said this to me. She's a dear, dear friend from college. And I always laugh because we don't talk very often, but when we do, she's like the person that says something that just centers me so perfectly. And she did that in college. And when I was talking about, we were texting back and forth about my daughter's wedding. And she said, "It's so great that you're redreaming this." And I
Mm.
loved that word, that redreaming.
Redreaming. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down. I
Isn't
like
that
that.
a good one?
Dreaming.
Cindy Long Ragsdale. I'm giving you all sorts of credit on that. But she just like that idea of redreaming and reimagining
Yep.
what things could be. And so that is my biggest recycling thing, is looking at it all and saying what fits and what doesn't, and being okay to make changes.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yep. I think I've done that with my business in different ways. Um, and I always think I don't feel like I have a steadfast plan for where I believe my practice will be at or where the branch will be at in 5 years. I kind of let it grow and kind of see what it needs.
Yeah, you're
And
very good at that. I've said that too. But like, I'm always amazed at how you have been able to grow brands it just very organically. Like, you really pay attention to where it needs to. It's almost like a person that you're nurturing,
ah,
that you're watching it like grow, and you give it what it needs when it needs it at different times. I admire that about you
mm,
very much.
well, thank you. I didn't realize that was something that I was good at. Like, is everyone's like, I'm so bad at some things. I mean, so bad at some things. But every once in a while, you're like, I am really good at that. I've learned to delegate things or to let things change without stressing too much about it or just kind of following the flow. To me,
Right.
it's following the flow, listening, following the flow, following my gut. And if you can listen, follow the flow, and then follow your gut, ooh, I should write that down too. Um, uh, then I think it's like you said, the word organic. It happens organically, as opposed to I have this hard, fast plan. I'm
Hmm.
not at this or this didn't work out. You have to toss some things, recycle some things, and elevate some things, right? I
Right.
mean, um,
Right.
so
And it's a business I love, and what I do, I love. And so, yeah, it's just recycling kind of how it all happens,
yeah.
and how I've never, and all my clients are listening to this, they'll be like, really? Because I'm a do as I say, not as I do person. I don't do a really good job of marketing myself. Like, I don't have I don't write a blog regularly. I don't do any of the things that I tell clients to do. And I'm starting to do those. Like, Eric and I have been putting together plans for 2021. I would have never done that before.
Yep.
Like, I would have never, and just really thinking, I don't just thinking differently. And I'm letting go. I have a control issue. My,
I think
my
most people do.
counselor is listening. She can also attain that, say that that's true. But letting that go has been kind of freeing. And so I think sometimes when we recycle things, it's scary. Like you said, change is scary. But if we're recycling and we're really paying attention to our gut and we're really paying attention to all those other things, it can be really fun.
Yeah. Well, my recycle thing is super scary. It is trying to change my mindset about exercising and walking in the cold. That's scary to me.
I get that all day long.
Through the pandemic, and Jason had knee surgery a couple months ago, so part of his recovery has been us getting out and walking, and we've gotten in this wonderful routine of walking. We do it maybe 5-6 times a week. Sometimes it's just a half an hour, sometimes it's almost an hour, and we love it. It's a great time together. Sometimes I go by myself and I put my earbuds in and I listen to a podcast. The last time I listened to my own podcast because I couldn't remember what I said and I need to make some notes for it. And it was funny. I was like laughing out loud. I'm like, that was kind of fun. But anyway, normally in cold weather, like really cold weather, or just anything that I don't deem optimal walking weather, which is like 75 sunny with a breeze and light clouds, you know,
Right, which we have a lot of here in Chicagoland.
too hot, too humid, it's too
Yeah.
windy, it might rain, right? And so I told Jason, because he's like an outdoors guy, he's got all the gear. He can go camp and it's, 20 degrees and he's fine. That sounds awful to me. And I'm not
Agreed.
recycling that far. But the thought process that I really need a good pair of some sort of snowish pants or something that will repel snow or rain. I already have a good winter coat, but having good gloves and good face protection, head protection, whatever that looks like, I'm going to be intentional about finding the right gear so that as soon as it's not 70 sunny with a light breeze, like I said, we're able to go out and still enjoy that, because he's all geared up for that and I'm not. So it stresses me out.
Right.
And it doesn't, I see people running in the cold and I'm like, you're crazy. Well, I need to recycle that thought process. They're not
Yeah.
crazy. They're awesome. They're taking care of themselves, right?
And you just
Well,
have the right, if you have the right gear. And I
yeah.
think that takes a lot out of it. Like if once you have it, then you have no excuse. Then you're like, oh, well, this is easy. I'm just going to put the snow pants on today. And like, you
Yes.
don't have to think about it. Like I don't have anything to wear.
I
I
know.
don't have anything
I'm
like that.
also trying to be organized, right? Where I
Yeah.
know, all right, there's a place in our closet. This is where the gloves, the hats, the earmuffs, so whatever you have. Earmuffs. I don't even know if they sell earmuffs anymore. But I love me a good pair of earmuffs. They're super fun.
Gosh, who doesn't?
So yeah, so that's my recycle, that I'm going to work on the mindset that as long as I have good gear, it's not crazy to go walk when it's not perfect out. So
Right.
that's
And it
my
actually can be super beautiful. I mean, like,
yeah,
especially like with the places you walk. I mean, imagine what that's going to look like
I
when
know.
it's snow covered. And you're such a nature,
I
like you love nature. I mean, that's probably part of your
I do.
props later, but I make fun of you for it. And I
Sometimes
laughed
that's
because
rough.
my husband and I were just in Galena this past weekend and we were doing some hiking and he was like pointing out naming all these leaves. I said, "Oh my gosh, you need to just go on a walk with Cathy. Like this is killing me." You're
I
like,
love that picture. Like, Dan
I know,
found something for your
I know.
scrapbook.
Because he was picking it. I go, "I'm taking a picture and sending this to Cathy. This is ridiculous."
All right, so we're gonna move on to elevate.
Yes.
And so what is your current elevate? What do
Okay,
you
this is going
what
to
do you
sound really weird because we are in the middle of a pandemic and it seems to be getting worse to better. But I'm elevating the holidays. And
That's such a good one.
the reason, and I'm kind of recycling it, I'm rethinking it because you have to.
Yep.
Not going to be able to do. My mother is going to be 92 on Christmas Day. My
Um,
one of my sisters has a form of Parkinson's, and so getting together as a close knit. I have three sisters, and they all have kids, and some of those kids have kids. So when we're all together, which at Christmas is one of those rare times that we're all together, there's like 25 of us,
yeah.
and we just can't this year. It's just not possible. So I have just been really trying to be super intentional about, okay, well, I'm going to elevate those things I love about the holidays that my kids loved when they were little, even though they're adults.
Yep.
We're going to do those and maybe they'll look different. Like I just purchased tickets to go to Morton Arboretum's Illumination.
I've never gone. I've always wanted to. You know why I
I
haven't gone?
haven't gone either.
Because in my
It's too
mind, I
cold.
don't want to be outside in the cold.
You were gonna
Pathetic. I'm
say that.
pathetic.
But
See,
yeah,
if I fix my recycle, I'll be
that
able to go to illuminations I've always
illuminations.
wanted to go to.
Well,
All right.
and now this year it's drive-through because of all this. So
Ah.
you have to buy a ticket for a time, but you just go in a car. And so we're piling all in the car on Thanksgiving night,
Aw.
just all of us, and going to, except for my son Nate. I'm sorry, Nate, you have to drive back to your home, but you have to work next day. But I'm trying to really be everyone's had a stressful year. It's been
Yeah.
hard, and we're sad of the things that we're not going to get to do. And for our family, it's not just holidays. Again, my daughter is getting married the first week of December. So it feels like everything's had to change. And I just want to really bring back, it's kind of, like your whole thing about being at home and just getting cozy. And if we're going to be hunkered down, let's hunker down together. But one of the things, and I never think that my husband listens to anything I say. Like, I really literally go around the house just talking all the time, and I don't know what parts he picks up on. But I've been talking about this for a while because I've been trying to like order gifts early, like being really thoughtful about gifts that mean something that I could take time ordering. And I mentioned that we used to in our backyard when we first moved to this house, which has been 20 years, we planted a tree in the backyard. And it was like, I used to call it my Charlie Brown tree because it was so little. And Dan used to put those big red bulbs on it,
Yeah.
the big colored bulbs. And everyone could see it. Our neighbors down the street could, that's when they knew Christmas was here because they could see through all the yards, our little Charlie Brown tree shining so brightly. And
Mm.
it was somewhere in the last 5 years, we've stopped doing the tree, obviously is a lot bigger now, which is probably why. But we just stopped putting the lights there. And I've missed it every year. Every year. I think, gosh, I really loved when our lights were on the back and we had those big bulbs. And just last night, we were leaving to go somewhere, and my husband said, "Look at what are those red boxes in the garage?" And I thought he was just meaning like, who put those red boxes in the garage? And I go, I have no idea what those are. I've not even been in the garage today. He goes, those are big colored Christmas lights. He's putting them
Aw.
on our tree this weekend. So we will have those in the backyard. And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
it's going to be so great. And so it's like nothing fancy and nothing big and elaborate, but just kind of like honing into back, like, making Christmas cookies. And if it snows, going out in the snow
Yeah.
and just really elevating these moments of being together because if we've learned anything in the last 6 months, you nothing's guaranteed,
Yep.
and you need to just take every of those moments. And so I'm really trying to bring back those little childhood things, watching holiday movies.
Yep.
Love it.
I it's funny, our elevates are somewhat similar. Yours does not come with a prop slash
I
showing
don't have any
portion of it.
props.
But next time you'll be
I'll
prepared.
take a picture of the colored Christmas
Yes.
lights and
And
send
send it
them.
to me and I'll put it
Yes.
together with
Okay.
pictures. So mine is elevating that hygge feeling. So, and I mean, it's exactly what what you're describing is hygge. And for those of
Hmm.
you that don't know what hygge is,
Love who got.
this is one of the pictures. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see these. For those of you that are just listening, I will link something in the bio of this that you can see the pictures of what I'm showing. So this is a picture that's in my studio in my what I call my hygge nook, and I read it because it's a definition of hygge. It's a quality of coziness and taking pleasure from the presence of gentle, soothing things, the ritual of celebrating the everyday, the creation of well-being, connection, and warmth. And if you look,
So beautiful.
oh my God, I love hygge. If you look online and you look at other definitions, because there's multiple definitions, it doesn't seem to be one clear-cut definition. Many times they include cozy blankets, the fireplace, being
Oh,
home, eating good food and drinking wine with family and friends that you love. Just that feeling, that simplicity, that
mm-hmm.
I don't need anything complicated to feel love and warmth and happiness and coziness. So, so I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what makes me feel that way? And so my list starts with the present that Jason got me yesterday. Baby Yoda from Costco. Oh my gosh, I've
Gosh,
been
it's
so
so big.
happy that I have this Baby Yoda. It like brought me back to childhood. I feel like it's like my Cabbage Patch Kid. I'm sure my counselor would get into some sort of, I'm regressing, but
It's really big. Like for those
it's
of you not
really big
looking at
and
this,
it's kind of
really
heavy. I mean,
big.
I was like snuggling with it. He was happy I didn't bring it up to the bedroom last night. He's like, I'm really glad you didn't bring, because
My
you
gosh.
watch The Mandalorian, this is from Mandalorian, but if you watch The Mandalorian, Baby Yoda likes to eat things sometimes. And so we left to go run an errand, and I was like, do you think we need a babysitter for Baby Yoda? What if he eats all our eggs? And Jason goes, oh, good God, please don't make me regret this. I think I said the same story on
He
Lindsay.
should have never, ever.
So now
Jason, have you learned nothing?
So Christopher was like going to take Baby Yoda and like do different, like a photo shoot with them.
Yeah. Oh
So,
my gosh.
it's a silly toy, but it's like, I don't know. It just made me happy. It's not necessarily Huga specifically. It just started me off on Huga because he went to
Yeah.
Costco again to get another one. And
You have 2 of them?
yeah, well, we actually have 3 of them. We actually have 4.
I am frightened what's coming on now.
So
Okay.
one we're going to give to Nick to give to his girlfriend Emily because she loves Baby Yoda. And then I figured one I would raffle off on the branch and one I would do something at the practice. So I'm not keeping 4 of them. We're keeping one.
My
We have
gosh.
family Yoda. So then
I'm just imagining coming to your house and there is a Baby Yoda in every room.
So then he went to the store today and he sent me a text. He goes, I bought you another present. He never buys me presents. I mean, we're not present people. I mean, it's not like a thing we do all the time. So,
right.
And they're fuzzy little Huga socks.
Ooh, I love those.
And they're really cute. Look, and they have little balls.
Okay, those are oh no, see, that is like Huga. That is like perfect for that.
Jane and Bleecker. I've never heard of them. So I don't have any affiliate program with them. I just thought they're really good and they're really soft.
I like those.
So that's another thing. So I want to be warm and cozy.
Yes.
And I like doing crafts. I don't know.
No, you do.
Why I decided this. And so the one thing I was coloring yesterday in the You Are Fucking Awesome coloring book. Okay. I wasn't sure if I could say fucking on
my gosh, that's
my podcast, so I think I can. So I've colored my first page and it says wake up, kiss, kick ass, repeat. And then I colored all that in. See?
Wait, did you color that?
I did, all of it.
Okay, that's actually super impressive.
Thank you.
Did it make you feel good when you were, is it soothing?
My hand was a little sore by the end of it.
Oh.
But it really, it really did. It's kind of meditative, I think. Jason was putting together Legos. He bought himself a Lego set. We went way back to childhood. I think we both needed to heal something or other. And then when you came over, I made you paint things.
Yes. So the rocks. And do you remember how nervous I was? Because first of all, I just want to tell everybody, I came over for a business meeting, not to paint rocks. She did not tell me we were painting rocks or crafts of any kind. And I think I had been there 2 minutes and you came out with a tray of paints and rocks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? So and I was so nervous to start to paint on them. But when I did, it was very soothing.
It is. And again, it's that perfection thing, right? It's not, my body's not perfect. My pictures aren't going to be perfect. My business isn't perfect, right? We got to the big toss has got to be perfection.
That's for sure.
My next big toss one.
Yeah.
But the piece to resistance is I actually put my wildflower photo album together today. So here's the front of it. That's a picture that I took that I put in there.
Okay.
That's kind of a glare on it, but and I won't go through all of it, but those were pictures of the flowers that I picked along my walk. And then
they're very pretty.
All right, I'll just show you one page. There's 6 pages like this. So I did a picture.
Oh, so you did the picture and then the actual.
And then I got these what color is that? Tan? What color?
Yeah.
But then see? So
that actually looks way prettier than what was in my head.
So I have a whole book of it. I just started a whole book of that. And
you could continue to do that when you're walking in the cold, and you could have, it's almost going to be like a seasonal.
Ooh, there's room to write little things. So I'm going to write what the flower is, when I picked it. But I said to Jason, I officially just glued them down to that and put them, I just got this photo album and I said to him, you know what? I'm proud. This sounds so silly because it's a wild, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it makes me proud because I sometimes say I'm going to do things and then I don't do them. I have all these ideas of something that I feel would make me happy, or I'm not going to eat 4 things of candy this evening or anything, and then I just go ahead and do it. So I'm trying to elevate not only things that make me feel cozy and warm, but things outside of, we tend to want to go out to eat a lot. We use up time by eating sometimes. And so I'm trying to come up with a couple of crafty things that I can do at home that feels cozy, that's kind of gets out of that routine where I'm actually doing something other than shoving things in my mouth.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
No, but it's true. I mean, it does sound terrible if somebody takes that completely out of context. Like if this is where they
Jason's like,
join
I'm
in.
all for that.
Yeah. If this is where they're joining in the conversation, then that would be. But now I was thinking about that the other day because I'm not crafty at all. Like I'm not even going to pretend that I have any. Although I did like that whole coloring book that you did. That I thought that might be my speed.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, it's been a long time ago, my sister's very crafty. My sister's very like she can just like, oh, I think I'll try sewing, and oh, I think I'm gonna try painting, and she goes and gets an easel and then she paints, and I'm like,
Right.
I'm not that. But she started knitting like
Mm.
several years ago, and so I'm like, I could maybe do like how and my grandmother used to knit, and
Yeah.
so I started knitting, and I it was very relaxing. Like it was very because it was cathartic. Like just
Yeah.
because you're doing, and like you said, then you're kind of just doing. Your mind is thinking about something other than all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But I never knew how to finish my knitting. Like I would just keep knitting the same thing, and then I would like, okay, well, how do I stop this? And then I'm like you. Then I do I'm just not going to do this anymore. I said I was going to, but I was thinking maybe now is the time to take
Yeah.
up knitting again.
I'm sure you could learn that on YouTube really
Oh,
quickly.
I'm
Like you can learn
sure.
anything on YouTube.
Oh,
My
yes.
sister knits, I mean, she'll be like wearing a sweater with like beautiful like wooden buttons. This orange sweater comes to mind. And I was like, wow, that's beautiful. Where'd you get it? She's like, I knitted it. And I was like, you knitted it? You made it? Like, I understand that people have talents, I get it. Like, that's amazing. How do you know? How
Yeah,
did you do that? And how does it
right.
fits you perfectly? I mean, I know their patterns and people like have laid out how to do these things, but I'm always amazed. I'm always amazed also when people can build like a build out, right? Or like
Yeah,
like even creating my studio, just someone designed, Stacy and Heather from Click Creative designed it for me. Like I never would have come up with what they did, but it's
right.
beautiful. And I realize my shirt totally matches my wall
Oh,
color.
it's perfectly colored for you all. Like it looks like you're completely on brand with
I absolutely planned this out and it actually matches my rock too. So
it does. You
yeah,
have a thing with that color. That's your
I
color.
do.
That's
It's
your
like the
signature.
Caribbean. This is a
It's
darker
it,
version of it.
it
Like this
yes,
is
but you're
right. This is
right.
my Yeti. So
And
that's
that is very
my
Caribbean.
but this color, I love this color. So
I
anyway,
do think that that's true. Like people that have that talent, I am always amazed. I come from an entire family of artists, except for my pod of the family. Like my sisters, none of, well, other than my sister that can paint, like she'll just try anything. But we all laugh because all of our cousins are super artistic on my mom's side of the family. Like they can do anything.
yeah.
And some of them were professional artists. Like my aunt made my wedding dress. I mean, they could just do anything. And
Wow.
when I was little, I remember going over to my grandmother's house with my cousin Katie. And my cousin Katie was very artistic, just like everyone else. And my grandmother had this gigantic dining room table. And so we were going to spend the afternoon with her. And Katie had this really great sewing project where she was going to make her own Barbie clothes and they were
Oh
going to
my
make patterns and
gosh.
cut them out and sew. And my grandmother bought me paint by numbers. But and all credit to Grandma Johnson because she made me feel like paint by numbers was just as creative and
Yeah.
amazing as making your own Barbie doll clothes. I
Yeah.
never felt then like there was this discrepancy, but as I grew up, I'm like, wait a minute. There was no way she was going to make me do that because I couldn't have even gotten probably the pattern cut out without some disaster happening. But I've always been drawn to people that have kind of an artistic side to them. And I
Yeah.
think part of it's because I just grew up surrounded by it and thinking how cool and wonderful to be able to just walk in and know what paint color to paint something or
Yeah.
to draw something or I just think that's amazing to me.
Yeah. I agree.
I can't wait to see
Well,
all of the
this
things you
was such
craft.
a fun conversation. I always love spending time with you
Me
and
too.
It's always, so I think, every once in a while we'll come back and have you back on the podcast and we can,
Please let us not be in a pandemic. If it is 6 months from now and we're still in a pandemic.
no, I won't talk about liverwurst quite as much. That was quite a bit of time that I dedicated towards a meat product, but it's so good. Oh my God, so good. All right, I'll stop talking.
Sales of
All right,
liverwurst are going to skyrocket.
Patti, where can people find you online? Your website,
Oh, yep.
Instagram? How can they connect with you?
GoGirlCommunications.com, or we're also on Facebook and Instagram. And then Twitter, it's just me on Twitter. I don't,
Just
we don't
you.
do like
You're
just
enough,
me.
Patti.
Yeah. But yeah, sure. Check us out. Oh, and check us out because in 2021, again, we're doing we're redreaming and reimagining
Yeah. Ooh,
all that is Go Girl.
I
Yes.
love it. Well, I
Yeah.
can't wait to report back about all your new exciting avenues and projects and things that you put together because you're genius.
Oh,
Love. You are. You're awesome.
thanks.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a awesome rest of your day. And I hope you tune in again soon to the Socket podcast. Have a great one. Bye.